web. I'm Dr. Shado, the United Personality with the best hair. And the kickoff of Dinocember 2022 is actually a request I received on a live stream a few months back. The 1981 classic, Caveman. Starring Ringo Starr as Atouk, Caveman is a more physical comedy, thanks in no small part to the fact that the cavemen in question don't speak English, and the vocabulary is limited at best. Thus, what looks like a setup for a 5-minute skit on a late-night show somehow is stretched to a whopping 90-minute feature film. But this is 1981 we're talking about. It's not nearly as removed from classic physical comedy shows like, vaudeville and stuff, or a little act you might have heard of from a while back called The Three Stooges. And besides, there are plenty of ways that you can make comedy work without a single word being spoken. I mean, do Tom and Jerry speak English? Or should they? But words are not comedy or not. What exactly is the plot that's gonna keep this movie together for an hour and a half? Well, Atouk is kind of a meek caveman. His love for the hot cave babe Lana means nothing as long as the big strong caveman Tonda holds sway. However, a little adventure where he makes new friends and discovers all kinds of new caveman knowledge could be all he needs to turn his prehistoric life around. As long as he can avoid being eaten by random dinosaurs, as this movie is a comedy and makes no attempt to pretend it's anything otherwise. So, let's take a look at Caveman and see just how our ancestors spent their time. We open up on 1 Zillion B.C., October 9th. The whole tribe is out foraging for fruit, but Atouk is having a hard time getting his hands on even one. Especially when Tonda, played by John Matsuak, clearly shows him that he is not welcome to forage with the rest of the tribe. Still, he might be able to find something edible outside of the normal foraging spot. Well, I've seen enough Japanese movies to know where this is going. See? Well, I can't blame the tentacle monster. That is Ringo Starr. But even Atouk isn't that desperate for a bite to eat. He can settle for a little lizard. Except in 1 Zillion B.C., there's always a bigger lizard. Terrified of the stop-motion beast, Atouk flees back to the tribe for safety, inadvertently bringing the dinosaur along with him, and panic ensues. Everyone tries to flee up a tree, but it looks like Tonda is going to have that hiding spot to himself. They can get that rickety-looking one. But what's this? Lar, played by Dennis Quaid, takes the fight to the iguanodon-looking motherfucker, biting its tail. Which, when you think about it, it's kind of like trying to punch out an elephant. So there's no one to stop the creature as it topples the tree and grabs a hapless caveman. And the body count rises. See, this movie is still well within my wheelhouse. With the loss of a tribesman, Tonda gets everyone else to unite once again by blaming Atouk for bringing the creature there. Anyway, the harvest is done, time to go back, but Lar is injured! The rest of the tribe resigns to leave him to his fate, but Atouk cannot. He thinks if he can untwist Lar's legs, he could get him to at least hobble around a bit better. I mean, he got a little further. Once he gets the concept of left and right down, he's right as rain. Except Tonda still believes him to be a liability.
Lar Pooka. Pooka.
And there's an entire caveman language for this movie. Although language is a bit of a strong word. You can fit the entire language with definitions onto a single bookmark. Still, it does make it a little easy to learn in one viewing. So Lar Pooka, and they tell Atouk to Kuda and head back to the cave. It's here we are introduced to Lana, played by Barbara Bach. She's happy to see Tonda, but a bit disappointed in the lack of food for today. Atouk, played by Avery Schreiber, recounts the tale of the terrifying attack the tribe suffered that cost them their haul. Yeah, lost a guy. Real sad, but the real takeaway, it's all because of that fuck-up Atouk. So yeah, Atouk isn't exactly a popular guy around the cave. He's got his hobbies, but that wheel thing isn't going anywhere, so it's on to his other pastime, desperately attempting to seduce the beautiful Lana. A handy-dandy secret stash of fruit helps him to get her attention, but not her love or anything. She's still all up on the big tribesman Tonda. He gets all the food, all the cave babes, and that reject Atouk is only good for one thing, testing out if new mysterious berries are edible or not, as they find a interesting leaved plant that they haven't encountered before. Narco berries. Seeing what it did to Atouk, they all decide to say fuck it and leave. But when he comes to, Atouk is now armed with the knowledge of tranquilizer berries. Using another handy-dandy hidden fruit, he stuffs it with berries and presents it to Lana as another friendly offering, knowing well she will just hand it to Tonda, who ravenously chews into it until it knocks him out. Then, under the cover of nightfall, Atouk makes his move. Yeah, Lana is also knocked out cold, and that's not the best look for our protagonist. But don't worry, it is a comedy, and this task is failed successfully. And Atouk, well, he just conks out right there in between Lana and Tonda. So when Tonda awakens, he's ready for some morning conversations. Unable to escape in time, Atouk does his best to play along.
Tonda! Atouk?
Which gets him kicked out of the tribe. Obviously, Atouk has more than earned the boulder in the head at this point. Which Tonda does attempt, but dang old comedy physics, he fails, giving Atouk a chance to escape and work on that redemption arc. After fleeing the tribe, Atouk is all alone, but not for very long. Some left-footed tracks clue him in that Lar, exiled for his disability, is nearby, and they reunite. The hug is so strong they crack each other's backs, and for the first time in history, man can walk upright. Man, is there anything the power of friendship can't do? Somehow this also worked to fix Lar's right leg to boot, and the two of them can face this uncertain future together. But Atouk hasn't given up on his love. He thinks there's still hope for him and Lana.
Atouk. Tonda. Atouk.
Fair enough, Lar, but what's the caveman word for wood chipper? No time to invent all that just yet, they have to get some rest. But what should show up? But my personal favorite, a giant bug. Not to worry, Atouk can smash it into Lar's face. Fun fact, some viewers got quite sick of this scene in theaters, but let's just move right along to the next day where Atouk and Lar continue their adventure, finding two others near a tar pit. Gog, a blind man, played by Jack Gilford, and Tala, played by Shelley Long. But when Gog falls into the tar pit, Lar and Atouk swoop in to save the day. Not only do they save Gog's life, but they pop their backs as well, increasing the amount of upright humans to 4. A quick wash-up later, and suddenly they lost track of Gog. What could he be doing? Macha alunda, Gog. Until he whacks it in the crotch. That is angry and coming for the important characters. Gog stays safely out of the way, but Lar and Tala are trapped. Thinking fast, Atouk utilizes the dinosaur's one weakness, a light prick. Thus, it leaves the area, defeated, and everyone is saved.
Atouk. Tala. Zug zug.
Atouk, Tala, Zug Zug.
Yeah.
Because despite the lack of clothes, this isn't that kind of movie.
Atouk. Zug zug. Lana.
Lana?
War.
But of course it's because he's still fixated on Lana, what with her mountains and Tala's plateau. Lar points out that Tonda's got Lana, but Atouk reasons that if he can kill a dinosaur, he can take care of Tonda just the same. Thus, they march on back to the tribe's cave, and Atouk demands to know where Tonda is. Upon hearing he's out, he's like, sweet, time to get to Lana.
What? No.
She's just there like, hey, you always got grub for me, so did you bring my Uber Eats or what? But when Tonda arrives, Atouk hides. Seems Tonda has also killed a dinosaur and rips its limb in half. Oh, well, it just means he's too distracted to notice Atouk. Sneak the fuck out of there.
Atouk matcha. Atouk Tonda. Ooh.
And yet Tala doesn't really care for Atouk's quest to get the love of some hot cave babe when she's already fallen for the guy and he's just too rock-headed to realize what's good for him. But, I mean, if he wasn't, then we wouldn't have a movie. So Atouk's new plan? Just fucking kidnap Lana. This almost works even, up until Tala sabotages him by letting her scream for help. Thus Tonda goes to kill him, but he's saved by cartoon physics yet again. So we'd better move on and introduce something else to the plot before it gets stale. How about a caveman with a little palsy? Fogg, played by Jack Scalise. But he's not the only one here we're going to introduce. There's also his mate, played by Erica Carlson, their daughter, played by Kiki Vorkin, younger daughter Sarah Lopez Hira, son Estevez Valtez, younger son Juan Ancada Figuera, and youngest son Juan Omar Ortiz. They can bond over a good old-fashioned dinosaur attack. Atouk throws a pumpkin at it, which lands on its horn and manages to disorient it, solidifying Atouk as a hero figure once again. However, that night, it begins to rain, and the much larger group is having a hard time finding shelter. Shuffling into the hollow of a tree, lightning strikes! In more ways than one. As man has discovered fire! And as the kids these days say, that shit is fire. It's good to weather that storm. And also a good reminder for you guys to like and subscribe. Yeah, I have no idea if that even works anymore. It's just a ritual at this point. Like and sub, like and sub. The world's first campfire also attracts the attention of the Diversity Tribe. Ruck and Flock, played by Mark King and Paco Moreta, Bork, played by Carl Lumbly, Kalta, played by Ed Greenberg, Nuke, played by Evan C. Kim, and Ta, played by Cork Hubbard.
Pool, no. Food.
Feed.
And of course the Asian is the smartest guy in the entire movie.
That's fire.
I can't blame Atouk, he literally just discovered and named that stuff.
Zug zug.
All right. Zug zug.
But the longer this battle of words goes on for, the more he realizes that if y'all gonna come down to caveman country, y'all gonna have to learn how to speak cave proper. More importantly, there's a disagreement on who gets the chicken. But Atouk has an idea. Tonda split the meat, he can do the same. Except that Atouk doesn't have nearly the upper body strength of that matcha man. Undeterred, he and Bork try and work together to split the chicken over the fire and discover the wonderful world of cooking your food. The breakthroughs in human civilization just keeps coming as Ta blows into his gourd and it produces a tone. That, along with a beat and the rest of the caveman joining in on the fun, results in the invention of music! Which Ringo has a surprisingly small role in, all things considered. But the next morning, the Tyrannosaurus is back. However, realizing that stepping in fire is painful, Atouk lures the beast his way, tricking it into stepping into the hot coals. Still alive, but very badly burned, it limps away, and Atouk is the hero of the day first thing in the morning. So it's easy to figure out who's going to have to lead them in finding some food. Unfortunately, the place is so devoid of fruit, the hungry tribe muses over chomping down Nuke's pet iguana. However, this is a tracking lizard pointing the way to a massive egg for them to get. However, before they can haul it back home Pikmin style, Tonda shows up with his own foraging gang. Bullying Atouk's tribe away from the haul, he steals the egg. Problem is, hauling this big damn egg is a lot harder than it looks, especially when Tonda is only giving emotional support. And before they can get it away, the pterodactyl attacks! Fleeing for their lives, they can't hold on and accidentally drop the egg off a cliff. Landing right into a volcanic pit, which is conveniently set on medium-high heat. So when Atouk and his foraging party catch up to it, they find the egg has been perfectly cooked. They eat their fill and bring back all they can carry. But they also lead Tonda right to their camp. Thus, a fight breaks out. Atouk and friends use the fire to hold Tonda off, but that eventually results in Tonda stealing the fire and fleeing. And wouldn't you know it, that was all their good fire. Thus, they must get it back, traveling through whatever it takes, up to and including
Caca.
Shit.
which might leave them in a slight disadvantage for diplomacy checks going forward. Comparatively, Tonda is doing much better, bringing to the tribe the gift of fire. But that's not all. Tonda realizes his tribe is now the only one still hunched over, so he gets to work snapping everyone's back upright. Though his is a bit stiff, and they need to work extra hard to get that to cooperate. And that doesn't sound nearly as comfortable as it's made out to be. In the meantime, Atouk and friends are fending off a hungry Tyrannosaurus with the power of one of those red berry bushes. This doesn't really add much to the plot one way or another, but it might help explain that by the time they reach Tonda's cave, the entire tribe is just up and vanished, making it so they can easily steal back the fire and just rob Tonda's ass blind in the meantime, stealing all the food and pelts to boot. But where did they go? Why, off to the river for some fishing, of course. This reminds Atouk that, oh yeah, he was horny for Lana, and it was a driving point for a lot of this movie. And when the rapids wash her away, he sees an opportunity. Chasing after her, along with Lar's help, he moves to save Lana. Deftly scooping her from the river, he paid slightly less attention to how well Lar was doing in this situation. Atouk? I know it looks bad, but look at the right side. He's not covered in shit anymore. Tonda, though, believes Lana to have drowned as he can't find her anywhere. Oh, well, just means Atouk can have Lana all to himself. But what's this? Lar has survived. He's been washed over to a frozen wasteland. It's got everything! An abominable snowman and a classic happy slide. So he's fine. Atouk can enjoy the spoils of the raid, the fire, the food, and the fornication. But the rest of the tribe doesn't accept Atouk's explanation that Lar glug glug glug, and he was a true friend, so Atouk agrees to put off pork in the poontang long enough to at least do a proper search for Lar. Heading to the nearby frozen wasteland, they discover signs that Lar is alive, and once everyone has made their way down the happy slide, they find out where he is. Frozen in ice, along with an abominable snowman, played by Richard Mole. You know, Big Ben from House. Fortunately, they have fire, and that's super effective against ice. So much so that an errant torch left haphazardly by the abominable snowman is all it needs to reanimate. Chasing after them, they flee in terror. Lar, still half frozen, desperate to get away from the creature as fast as they can. Prejudicial fucks, all he ever wanted was a friend. But while this is going on, Tala had other plans. Rather than sit and watch Atouk zug Lana, she just walks up to Tonda's cave like, hey, I see you're looking for a new cave, babe. What if I told you that Lana actually did not drown and you can have her back? Except for one slight problem. Tonda doesn't stop at Lana. He kidnaps each and every one of the women left at Atouk's tribe. When the men return, Gog recounts the horror as best he can from his perspective. Tonda. Which is honestly good news. We're an hour and 15 minutes into the movie. What other characters were established? It was either that they all got kidnapped by Tonda, or the motherfucking T-Rex just came by and ate them all. So they must go to war at once! But that also inspires Atouk to put all his caveman ingenuity to work and invent everything! Combine sticks and bone with leather and make weapons! Flint and steel for sparks! Invent the sling! Catapults! And most importantly, use those narco berries to lace some pumpkins and capture a dinosaur! With armor to protect them, they march forth, launching Ta over Tonda's cave. He uses flint and steel to light a smoke bomb, flushing them out! Thus they fight! Atouk's tribe of misfits clash with Tonda's tribe of the strong and dumb. come in expected comedic fashion. With the classic blind fighter joke, you really can't make a movie like this anymore. People are far too sensitive about these things, and it's incredibly offensive to imply that blind people can't see. Riding in on his tamed dinosaur, the Atouk action figure does battle, knocking rival Caveman down left and right. But Tonda tears him from his mount and begins to beat the crap out of him. Seeing who is winning this one, Lana joins in, kicking his ass. So Tala slaps the bitch before Atouk finishes this fight with Tonda David and Goliath style, whacking him with a slingshot and stomping him into submission. Therefore, happy ending! Atouk is now the leader of the super tribe, and Tala loves him. That's nice, but so does Lana, and as such, Atouk takes Lana up to the front of the tribe in celebration of his victory, holding her in his arms. Shortly before dropping her into a handy-dandy pile of shit. Boy, there sure were a lot of those back when dinosaurs ruled the earth. But that's because after all these trials and tribulations, Atouk has finally learned the truth. Atouk nya alunda Lana, Atouk alunda Tala. Kuda Tala, Atouk Tala Zug Zug. The end. And during the production of this movie, love really did blossom. Ringo Starr did meet the woman who would become his wife. Barbara Bach. Sorry, Shelley. Anyway, that was Caveman. And it is this weird mix of toilet humor that feels strangely intellectual. Most of that stems from the fact that this movie is presented almost entirely in the caveman language that it is possible to learn as you watch this film. That gives it this weirdly mentally stimulating quality, which almost makes the movie feel smart at times, but when you take a step back from that and actually look at it, it's about cavemen trying to get laid as they run away from dinosaurs and have constant run-ins with big piles of shit. Not that there's anything wrong with that, physical comedy is still comedy, and it's refreshing in this day and age to go back and check something out like this from the 80s. It is oh so lowbrow, but put together with such love and care. A crass skit stretched out to 90 minutes by people doing their absolute best to try and make it into something great. And that made it into something, alright. I absolutely love the stop-motion animation at work here, and the special effects are done well enough that if I were watching this on VHS, it might not look quite as obviously patched together. Not that I don't find charm in seeing a Ringo Starr action figure doing battle reverse Jason of the Argonauts style, but how it all comes together, though, that's a tough one. The comedy ain't smart, despite how this movie feels as you learn the language, but does it have to be enjoyable? No. Still, low-quality comedy, but when you take into the presentation, the physical acting, and the way the unique nature of the movie stands out from the crowd, I think it's fair to call Caveman 3 giant fried pterodactyl eggs out of 5. As impressive as it was to make a feature-length comedy with a limited vocabulary, it's still mostly about poop. Thank you all for watching. I've been Shado, and remember, the abominable snowman just wants a hug. And depending on the movie, possibly eat you as well. Another video, another call to action. So what? Another review, another call to action. Like, subscribe, all that, you know that stuff. But what else have I reviewed that is something like Caveman? There's The Last Dinosaur. That's got dinosaurs, it's a classic, it's got stop motion in it, and it's... Okay, that's about it. But there's also the algorithmically selected recommended video. Let's see if YouTube picked something better. Honestly, I think it probably just picked something random. Wow.